only person on the planet that didn't know that you can just pick a piece of fruit off of a tree.
Hi, yeah, there's actually like a whole story for why you don't know that, and I made a chart to explain it. That's the lemon. Unsurprising to anyone who knows anything about US history, the first part of the story hinges around racism. So there was racism, and then there was the Emancipation Proclamation. If you don't remember, that was when Hat Man said that we were people now. But after that happened, previously to being freed, slaves like foraged and fished and trapped on the lands where they were being held, like on the plantations they worked on. But the plantation owners were like, whoa, buddy, you could gather things when you worked here for free. But I don't like that now. So because of that, the South passes a bunch of laws that turns trespassing from a civil offense to a criminal offense. And that was specifically to keep Black and Indigenous people from foraging on land they don't own. And the kicker of that is, they don't own land. So, bing, bang, boom, those laws also catch on nationwide. So the first chapter of our story closes with people not being able to gather fruits, foods, any sort on land that doesn't belong to them. So that concludes this chapter. The next chapter, also racism. For thousands of years, indigenous groups here in North America managed lands and waters using all sorts of methods like controlled burns, and they formed mutually beneficial relationships with a lot of the plants and the animals and the fungi. And then after that, white people, they got here and they said, this does not look like a farm. So obviously, no one must be tending to it. Hashtag untouched wilderness. Hashtag we about to wild out in these streams. And they wilded out so hard that they decided, we need to set aside some land where we're not allowed to wild out anymore. And they did that through the Park Service. But when they created the Park Service, they used hands-off conservation, which was based in this original idea that the land didn't look like people were tending to it because it didn't use European farming methods. And so they believed in order to keep the lands immaculate, no one could touch them. And so with that, you can also now not gather food in parks. Love you. So to catch you up, that is now no free food from private land and also no free food from public land. So you can gather food on your own land. So obviously we would still learn how to do that, right? Wrong. Our final chapter and why you don't know that you can gather lemons from trees, classism. All the isms are getting their time. Welcome to the 1900s, jazz and dust bowl, oh no, world war. And as we get close to the halfway point of this century, grocery stores and refrigerators are popping up. It is the cool kid way to be getting all of your food. Oh, only poor people gather their own food. By the 1960s, that's how people were feeling about foraging by and large. Of course, this doesn't mean everybody. Which then leads to, oh my god, no one likes me anymore because Barbara said I act poor. Sad face. So what did people do? They stopped foraging. They stopped picking their own food. No one wants to look poor. Everyone wants to keep up with the Joneses. And who were those people? Our parents and grandparents. And some of you guys are infants, so probably great-grandparents too. So you know who didn't teach us about any of those things? Our parents and our grandparents. So now a lot of people our age don't know. It led to what I call the big food forgetting, in which people in Western communities are super detached from their food. We have no part in it anymore, except for what we pick out at the grocery store, really. And that is why my homegirl thought that her store lemons and her tree lemons were not the same lemons. Honestly, it could happen to anybody. I know people are giving her a rough time in the comments. And that big food forgetting is part of the reason why I make the content that I do, teaching people what wild food they can find in their own neighborhoods. I think we deserve to remember. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Happy snacking, don't die.